So we cannot decide about human dignity and what is sustainability and what is social welfare policy unless we first decide what is essential for human dignity and for human survival. Because social welfare policy is based on over deciding that everyone should be above that. Everybody should have dignity and everybody should have things or lives which are above the level of survival. What is clear that we need to change. Our current consumer society is not going to survive. Either we have to change or we will face the economic disaster, environmental disaster. The foundation of a new green social policy can be based on a basic income given to everyone without considering their race, color, religion, gender, so that everybody is at the same level of survival. And then decentralized and deregulated communities who can decide for themselves what they want to. They can make decisions locally and then can buy and easily live locally. And then redefining of the freedom. There are three areas of concern as we see this new green social policy: transport, food, and work. Transport directly impacts the climate change. We use fossil fuels. Almost all the transport is based on usage of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels include natural gas, petroleum, and other things. So this usage of fossil fuels leads to greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases leads to rise of temperature. So if you look at this graph, the level of CO2 or greenhouse gases is increasing. So in 1700, the parts per million of CO2 were around 270. And 250 years after, in 1958, they were 315. So around 50 parts per million increase in 250 years. But from 1958 to 2017, which is around 60-70 years, the parts per million have increased from 315 to 408, meaning by 100 parts per million have been increased in a short span of 70-75 years. So this is how the CO2 carbon emissions is increasing. So how global warming is linked with CO2? So what happens is that over natural temperature of Earth is 0 degree. So if there is no sunlight, we will be all frozen to death. But over current temperatures is around 15 degrees. That's because of the fact that we have solar radiations. So when solar radiations come from sun, half of them are absorbed in the earth, rest are reflected, and part of them go back to the atmosphere, but some of them is retained because they are absorbed by greenhouse molecules, which are N2O, carbon dioxide, and H2O and methane. So when you increase the number of CO2 or N2O or methane molecules in the air, this means you trap more sunlight. When you trap more sunlight, which means you are increasing or rising the temperature. And this also affects, of course, the climate change. So automobiles are increasing all over the world. For many households, even in Pakistan, 2 cars are now essential. And it's a great utility for men, women, children, disabled, and old people. But more CO2, but it increases not only fossil fuels, but it means more road accidents, less walking and cycling, more health issues. Sea and air travel is also increasing. So if you look at the deaths by accident, road traffic injuries are the 8th leading cause of death, and is the first cause of death among children from 5 to 14 and among young adults from 5 to 29. So 54% of the deaths are pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. And every 24 seconds, someone dies on the road. So transport is not only an environmental problem, but is also related to another problem, which is injuries in road and death accidents, and also health concerns because of commuting and sitting there and not cycling and walking.